Hey everyone, you've all seen me mock Terrence Howard quite a few times. Whenever I think I'm done, he goes and does something else, usually with other people who deserve to be mocked as well. Today is one of those days since Terry decided he needed to team up with another monumental douchebag, Russell Brand. Was the resulting conversation hilarious? Of course it was. Let's check it out. Like I said, dunking on Terry after his first Rogan appearance was a no-brainer, but since then, it's been difficult to resist circling back to him, not just because it pisses him off so much that he challenged me to a literal duel on Twitter, but also because he keeps resurfacing with some other piece of crap that I also absolutely need to dump on. First it was Eric Weinstein, then it was Billy Carson, then it was Billy Carson again, then it was Wiping You and PBD, then it was Bill Maher, and now for his next face-off, he's picked another douche nozzle supreme, Russell Brand. Most people know who Russell Brand is, but if you don't, he's from England, and he used to be an actor and comedian. He was in one good movie, Forgetting Sarah Marshall, a crappy remake of the classic movie Arthur, and some other forgettable stuff. He was famous for being highly verbose but fairly witty, and also for banging people, a lot. Early in his career, he was politically active, defended Palestine, campaigned for redistribution of wealth and other left-wing policies, and was generally affable. But then, during the COVID pandemic, Russell went batshit insane and underwent a complete metamorphosis. He turned full-on far-right conspiracy peddling grifter. All manner of COVID nonsense, anti-vax bullshit, a lot of anti-vax bullshit, I mean a lot of anti-vax bullshit, dogshit geopolitical takes, you name it. You've been lied to about Ukraine. Bill Gates is an evil, lying eugenics robot. A lot about Bill Gates. You thought the pandemic was bad. Crazy dystopian fear porn. The Great Reset is here. It's not a drill. Click now. Click now. His content has it all. Clickbait titles, clickbait thumbnails complete with shocked facial expressions, and that dose of dopamine that clueless brainwashed morons can only get when they're being told they're too smart to fall for government such and such, big pharma, blah blah blah, woke indoctrination, whatever the fuck. Views increased by an order of magnitude, audience capture took hold, and there was no turning back for him. And it wasn't just conspiratorial rhetoric, it was product promotion as well. Ads for special powders and metals and all manner of other alt-health garbage. He also promoted a magic amulet that he claims protects against corruption by evil energies and lethal Wi-Fi signals. Of course, Russell employs a Mott and Bailey just like every other grifter pushing ludicrous conspiracy theories. When pressed, he will pull back from some ridiculous claim over to, I'm just asking questions. He will retreat from some objective falsehood back to, the mainstream media lies to us. It's as common a grifter tactic as there is. YouTube finally took down one of his videos in 2022 due to a violation of their policy on medical misinformation, and that was Russell's cue to move it over to Rumble, the platform of choice for every hyper-conspiratorial wannabe cult leader who doesn't give two shits about telling lies that get people killed. But that's when the rape allegations started. Well, not started, let's say ramped up significantly. He'd been credibly accused of sexual harassment and sexual assault for almost 20 years at that point, but it really ramped up in 2023 when more formal allegations and investigations took place. Earlier this year, he was finally charged with multiple accounts of rape and sexual assault. He pled not guilty in court, and legal proceedings are still underway. As you can imagine, in his content, Russell repeatedly and vehemently denies all of these allegations and spins the whole situation into attempted character assassination by the man, because he's getting too close to the truth, and a lot of his fans have bought it. Of course they are trying to silence him. It's a coordinated attack by the lamestream media and their New World Order agenda. Russell exposes the evil people, and that's why they want to cancel him. It can't possibly be that he's just a piece of shit who both rapes women and lies to make money on the internet. What an absurd notion. To really cement his newfound favor among far-right Christian nationalist assholes, he converted from Buddhism to Christianity, and even got baptized in 2024, taking his Messiah complex to the next level. Man, the guy really commits to his roles, huh? He's like the Daniel Day-Lewis of creepy rapist pseudo-wellness influencers. He also campaigned for RFK Jr. during his 2023 presidential run, and even attended the Republican National Convention, eventually going on to endorse Trump in 2024. And people say the spiritual guru to alt-right pundit pipeline doesn't exist. So as you can see, Russell is a perfect match for Terry. They're both clueless, sanctimonious, misogynistic douchebags, pretending to be wise and spiritual to grift off of the gullible public. They have slightly different flavors. Russell rapes women. Terry just beats them. Russell learns lots of words and rattles them off rapid fire to sound more intelligent than he is. Terry does the same, except he skips the part about learning what the words mean. Russell likes accessories like necklaces and scarves. Terry likes stupid hats that he wears on top of hoodies. But these are superficial differences. The similarities run much deeper. They are both supreme narcissists that crave the experience of being wise without bothering to acquire an ounce of wisdom. This is what attracts a cult-like following of people who also want to believe they are wise, and thus reward any creator who reinforces this delusion by conveying the idea that wisdom comes from a baseless rejection of reality and embracing a fabricated reality where expertise and real knowledge don't exist, only feelings and vibes. Spewing and regurgitating total horseshit about an unlimited number of topics is the currency of this cult, and these two are some of the biggest pseudo-spiritual scumbags in the game. Getting legitimately canceled by society because you're a violent, abusive maniac? Spin that right into your persona and build a cult around it to insulate yourself from reality. My truth is too hot to handle. I'm just a reformed misogynist who's found spirituality, so everything bad about me is A-okay. These guys are peas in a fucking pod. That's why it was no surprise whatsoever when Terry showed up on Russell's channel. To those who noticed anyway, I'll admit that I completely missed it. It took several people emailing me about it to take a look, and once that happened, I figured it was worth some coverage. So we're going to dive into this video now, but first, a quick word from today's sponsor. Do you travel a lot? Do you get frustrated with complicated data plans that hit you with surprise fees while abroad? You should check out Saily. Saily offers affordable eSIM data for international travel. So what does that mean? Well, the SIM card in your phone is what allows you to connect to a cellular network, and an eSIM card is a digital one of those that will let you connect to wireless internet without worrying about coverage from your normal cell plan. Why is this amazing? 1, you can connect everywhere, even when there's no local connection. 2, you'll never get screwed with outrageous roaming fees. And 3, you can install the eSIM just one time and use it for all the countries you visit. No more long lines for local SIM cards. Sipping sangria in Barcelona, exploring ruins in Cairo, wherever you are, Saily will keep you connected, no physical SIM card necessary. Order an Uber right when you land. Access maps no matter where you are. Just download the Saily app via the QR code on screen. Once you're there, find your destination. Let's say it's France. Then choose the data plan that best suits your specific needs. Look at that, a whole gigabyte of data for only $4. And you can use coupon code Professor Dave for an exclusive 15% discount. Once you're paid up, installation is as simple as the click of a button. See, I told you. Install, activate, and your data will be ready for you as soon as you land. But Dave, what if I'm going somewhere remote, not France or Italy? Don't worry, look at all these countries here. Saily almost certainly has you covered. So wherever you're headed on your next big trip, set yourself up for the best time possible with Saily. Get an exclusive 15% discount on Saily eSIM data plans before you pack your suitcase. Download the Saily app and use code Professor Dave at checkout, or scan the code on screen right now and get started today. Okay, now back to the main attraction. On June 18th, Terry appeared on Russell's channel for a segment called Terrence Howard's Shocking New Theory of Reality. I don't know who's still getting shocked here. Everyone and their mother has heard Terry spew his gibberish by now, but Russell, being the wordsmith that he is, might help him find a new angle. Let's have a listen.
Ladies and gentlemen, Russell Brand,
Russell
controversial
Brand.
conspiracy theorist,
Trying to bring real journalism
to the American people.
Wow, remember Tucker's log cabin dueling banjos intro? Russell's done pretty much the same thing. Gritty southern rock? Check. Freedom lovers unite? Check. Guns are awesome? Check. Camo, camo, camo? Check, check, check. American flag even though he's English? You're goddamn right. He's bringing real journalism to the American people, because that's where all the dumb fucks are who will properly monetize this hot garbage.
Hello there, you Awakening Wonders. Thanks for joining me for a very, very special show. Am I the white Terrence Howard, or is Terrence Howard the black Russell Brand? It's a brilliant conversation. Geometry, mathematics. Terrence Howard is having a second career, not as an actor, but as an extraordinary sort of spiritual entrepreneur. Like, I know a lot of cynical people would attack him, but I can't help but think they're the same kind of cynical people that would attack me. I think he's an open-hearted, good-hearted, and brilliant man.
Yeah, people who know that both of you are completely full of shit are just being cynical. It's not that they actually understand science, or politics, or dislike rapists and wife beaters. But congratulations on your parallel second careers, where you both grift off of people who are too stupid to realize that neither of you have the faintest clue what you're talking about. Nice bare chest, by the way, Russell. Nothing rehabilitates a rapist's image quite like this whole "I'm probably not wearing pants either" vibe you've got going.
But let me know what you think in the comments and chat. First 15 minutes will be available on YouTube, X, all those places. But ultimately, you've got to join us on Rumble Premium for a fantastic conversation.
That works out just fine for me, because 15 minutes of YouTube boners is about all I can take, and I sure as fuck am not signing up for Rumble.
Haters are gonna love hating this, because this is two men of scant education using a lot of very, very long words. It's an ontological discourse that's part rap and part rhapsody. You're gonna love it. Let me know what you think in the comments and the chat.
You already said that 20 seconds ago. I'm not going to leave a comment, I'm just going to make fun of you in my own video. And it's adorable how you admit that you're both uneducated buffoons using big words you don't understand, but anyone who shits on you for it must be a hater. Airtight.
All right, Terrence Howard, thanks so much for joining me for Stay Free with Russell Brand.
Amen. Thank you for having me on this, man. I've enjoyed your platform and everything you've been doing with it.
Do you know what? Man, like, I'll tell you this, I'm exhausted. I can't cope with the news cycle. I can't cope with the pressure of generating content on social media. How are you doing with, thanks for the compliment, by the way, on keeping my weight down. That you've put me in a really good frame of mind.
Russell is already hallucinating. Terry didn't say anything about your appearance, and if you can't cope with the pressure of generating your god-awful content, just do everyone a favor and stop making it.
But you, like me, have entered into a more kind, you've come out of a space that, let's call it for brevity, mainstream, in a more peripheral media spaces. How are you coping with what I assume are constant attacks?
Well, I look at it like, you know, if you're not being criticized, if you're not facing some kind of headwind, then you're headed in the wrong direction.
Yes, the old misunderstood iconoclast routine. When everyone in the world is making fun of you for pretending to be a genius while being unable to do second-grade math, that's when you know you're headed in the right direction.
So the more light that's shone upon me, even whether it be negative, you know, or be positive, it's still going to, at the end of the day, you know, we're all going to end up back as the creator, you know, in the full circle of all things. There's the creator. Perfection can't turn itself into imperfection. Perfection can only beget perfection. So our perception is off, because how could the universe be so perfectly made and yet we be so flawed?
Terry loves when light is shone upon him, negative or positive or any kind of light, because in the full circle, we are all God. Terry more than others, but all God nonetheless. That'll play well with St. Russell's Jesus-y crowd. Also, the universe is perfect. Didn't you know that? There can't possibly be a better universe than this one. What about one where everything is exactly the same, but these two twats don't exist? That sure sounds preferable to me.
And this woman, Gina, who had lost her child, you know, many years before, you know, when she had cancer, she had this beautiful mental attitude that never once, even though she broke down and cried, never once did she curse or blame the gods or blame life. She just dealt with it from a happy and grateful place. And I mean, I took a great lesson from that, because at the end of the day, we're just gods unaware of our divinity.
Did you take a great lesson from a lady who had a positive attitude despite suffering hardship? It's not showing. After the world refused to recognize your imaginary brilliance and you became the laughing stock of the internet, you just threw a series of toddler tantrums, insisting that everyone is a stupid jerkface and demanding the opportunity to retaliate with physical violence.
Like, I have surrendered to Christ. I've become Christian after, for a long time, having a kind of somewhat diffuse and autodidactic spiritual perspective. You know, like, I just was watching something. I was watching a YouTube video clip of some people called Minority Report, I think is what they're called, criticizing me and stuff. And like, I watched it because I thought, I want to watch things where people are attacking me and see if I can stay in my kindness. One of the things they were attacking is like the way that I talk.
Ah, Sam Cedar. I consider him somewhat of a kindred spirit. Which video could Russell be talking about? Meltdown about Greta? This hypocrisy one? The one about his transphobia? Being a corporate sellout? Idiot contest with Dave Rubin? You're gonna have to be a little more specific, Russell. But no, I won't accept that all they did was make fun of how you talk. That's just your way of deflecting from the substance of their content. You pretend that intelligent people are somehow incapable of dissecting your disgusting transformation into the grifting fraud you've become. Is that all you've got?
And I reckon, like, you like me are probably from a normal background. You've educated yourself. You've not gone to some like fancy university or anything like that. So like, all the stuff you know is probably personal experimentation.
Neither of you jerks have educated yourself or done any actual experiments of any kind. That's why you sound like idiots when you try to discuss science or any other topic. This disdain for fancy universities is just your way of pretending that you can magically know more than educated people without ever learning or doing anything.
Based on the early part of our conversation and other podcasts and interviews I've watched you in, seems to me that you've done some sort of psychedelic experimentation. At least that's like my guess. I hope I'm not mischaracterizing you there. Like, when you're sort of, when you're like,
Sorry, Terry, did you think this was going to be a conversation? Russell likes to do 90% of the talking. That typically involves making assumptions about the other person and then steamrolling over them when they attempt to participate. But you'll have to forgive him. He's just so excited about Jesus.
when you're like following your own path, you know, like there's a lot of pitfalls in that. How it sounds to me like have got a somewhat pantheistic view of spirituality. The divine is in all things. God is everywhere. God is everything. And I dig it and I like it. But the collapse into Christianity for me was important because in surrendering to Christ, I feel like I'm surrendering to a man, and my resistance to that, as well as a God, a man as well as a God, before that, I felt like I was the center of my own personal cosmos, and that was the problem for me with a kind of new age approach to reality.
It's really amusing listening to Russell navigate this born-again territory that you know he absolutely does not take seriously and is just a tactic to grow his viewer base. I surrendered to a man. But also a god. A god. I forgot for a second what you people believe. That it's a man-god, god-man thing, with a ghost somewhere in there too. I'm really Christian, I swear. But yeah, the overwhelming ego disguised as humility is something he's nailing insofar as people who virtue signal their religiosity. Great work on that part.
So, like, when you're in this sort of space, like you're engineering and creating, as you said, your own perception of reality, the ulterior and ultimate reality, the reality of God, the reality of the light of the consciousness, do you not sometimes feel a bit stranded out there and afraid out there? And do you not run out of resources sometimes, personal resources?
No, one of the things that happened to me early on, as I spoke about when I did the Joe Rogan interview and received a great deal of vitriol about it, was the fact that I was awakened and I awoke inside my mother's womb. I woke up there and was aware, like, oh shit, I'm here. I'm here. Okay.
Russell is the only person who talks so loud and so fast and so aimlessly that when he finally pauses to let someone else speak, it's genuinely jarring. But of course, Terry doesn't have an answer to that ridiculous question. He's just going to whine about a dumb thing he said on another podcast. Yes, on Joe Rogan, Terry claimed he was conscious in the womb. He wasn't, since that's impossible, and he didn't receive vitriol for saying so. He received mockery, completely justified, endless mockery. And he's going to get some more right now because he's pretending that he had a fully formed language-based inner monologue as a fetus.
Don't forget, don't forget, don't forget. Don't forget what? It was don't forget that everything comes down to how many bubbles fit in a given space and under what pressure and motion conditions.
Do you have your Terry gibberish bingo card? Check off pressure conditions. Fingers crossed for angles of incidence next.
And when I was 5 and I awoke in the middle of the night and this entity had a conversation, took me down this watery path and asked me if I could have anything I wanted. And we were very poor at the time. I was like, so I thought for a moment, and then without hesitation, it seemed, I said, I want to know how everything works. And that being opened up a door and took me into this room that had a crystalline flower and started handing me all these incredible shapes that I had never seen before.
Man, that magic dream genie really screwed you over. You asked to know how everything works, and all he did was show you some dumb shapes. He could have implanted all of humanity's scientific knowledge in your brain Matrix style. Instead, all you got was this shit grift and some dumb shapes.
And I had access to the Akashic record. And therefore, I was able to compare. I was a Jehovah's Witness for over 25 years. I went around teaching everyone as much as I could about the Bible until I learned that according to the Bible, mankind has only been in existence for just over 5,000 years.
Terry was a Jehovah's Witness? How did I miss that? It sure explains a lot. Oh yeah, and he said he had access to the Akashic Records, a fictional concept described as a compendium of all universal events, thoughts, words, emotions, and intent. Funny then how he still can't figure out basic arithmetic, huh? And be careful about mocking the beliefs of fundamentalist Christians. You're ripping into Russell's new target demographic.
And one of the things that Jesus was saying constantly was that you are to become like me and be whole like me with my Father, to become Christ-like. And God said, you are made in my image. So what does that mean? That means when God looks in the mirror, he should see us. And when we look in the mirror, we should see the Creator. And we do not need, me as a father, I don't need my son to go through some other person in order to have conversation with me.
Well, you're not God or Jesus, Terry. You're just a pointless mortal like the rest of us. But it's fun watching Russell nod and sway, doing his best to pretend you're saying anything even remotely interesting enough to merit having brought you on his dumb show.
So that's my guide. That's what keeps me when everything else feels like it's coming apart. And then moments like this where people are responding to the truth. That makes it okay for me. I'm not here to prove anything to anybody. I'm here to open the door for enlightenment to anyone that wants it.
You're not here to prove anything to anybody? Does that mean you're tired of making idiotic claims like 1 × 1 = 2 and trying to prove it using complete gibberish, which results in the entire internet making fun of you endlessly? So now you have no wisdom to offer, not even the fake wisdom you used to claim, but you're still offering enlightenment? How does that work exactly? Russell, any comment?
I'd like to get high with you, Terence. If I got high, I'd get high with you. You're a mystic. I can see why you're causing so much trouble. I had this realization relatively recently that amidst the undifferentiated superstate, there may be 2 paths. The path of the bridge. I have I've got a few teachers that are kind of druidic, or even atheistic. People that are able to operate in the undifferentiated state, the superstate, where before it collapses from wave into the particular, it could go literally limitless directions.
They really are exactly the same, aren't they? Undifferentiated superstate, the path of the bridge, collapsing from wave into particular. A little half-assed quantum mysticism for you. This isn't a conversation, it's 2 idiots waiting for their turn to say absolutely nothing as confidently as humanly possible.
Now, what I found and what I've been granted through Christ, and I agree with what you're saying, is that the hallmark and the signature of the Almighty is in the human face. We are made in his image. We are expressions of him. Why would the triune God create us other than to love us? That there is this relational aspect in Christian theology.
Ah, yes, created in his image. Before there was an earth and humans and sunlight and water and everything else in the universe, there was some guy floating around with eyes and ears and arms and legs and a dick and other parts that are completely pointless outside of the context of what they've evolved for on humans, specifically here on Earth. This one always makes me laugh, that some people can't wrap their heads around the fact that humans made gods in our image, not the other way around. But even funnier is the alleged all-loving attribute of the Christian God. He'll murder everyone alive because he feels like it. He'll torture people eternally for doing things that he knew they'd do before he made them to do those things. He's essentially the manifestation of our most sadistic and psychopathic tendencies. He's cruel, he's petty, he's vindictive.
But he loves you.
But I recognize too that there's this requirement for humility. And one of the ways I've sort of understood this, Terence, is all of us know that somehow when it comes to material weights, measures and metrics, we're infinitesimally small to the point where we're almost irrelevant. It wouldn't matter if I didn't exist or if you didn't exist.
Oh boy. So the word you're looking for is infinitesimally. Size is relative. We are to a galaxy as a quark is to us. Humility is the last thing that has ever been a requirement for either of you. And yes, it definitely wouldn't matter if you two didn't exist.
And yet all reality, as far as I can tell, or as far as you can tell, exists entirely within my consciousness.
Entirely within your consciousness? So we are all figments of your imagination? That doesn't track with me, Russ. Tinker with solipsism to your heart's content, like a college freshman on their first acid trip, but I'm real over here, and Terry probably is too, sadly.
So there is this sort of tension between infinitesimally small and so vast that all reality is encompassed within us. And for me, this idea of humility, this idea that how do I live in this world and not make myself my own God? When I make Russell my God, I'm in trouble, man, because then Russell's urges, Russell's wants and desires and needs and fears get elevated to the status of a kind of doctrine or dogma.
You know that you can just go about your life without perceiving yourself as a god, right? You can just be a person with wants and desires and strengths and weaknesses and also know that you aren't an actual deity, yeah?
Like that my whole life becomes fear avoidance or pursuit of desire. And because I've lived a hedonistic life in the past, I bet you've had a phase of that where I've been able to sleep around a bunch, been able to do a bunch of drugs. Like I've realized, I don't mean nothing. It's sort of somehow hollow and empty.
Oh, well, if it was so hollow and empty for you to be a reckless maniac, sexually assaulting everything that moves, I guess we shouldn't bother holding you legally accountable for any of it, right? Hey, long line of women that Russell raped. It didn't mean anything to him, so it shouldn't mean anything to you. Can you just move on already?
And so, you know, like the path of Christ comes to me in pain, in serious, serious pain. That's when I sort of realized him, when he awoke within me, when I felt his salvation. I'll be honest with you, there are days when I still feel adrift still. I feel like I'm suffering, man. There's days where I'm suffering, where I feel like, what have I got to say for anyone?
I know he's just copying this script straight from the Reformed Christian manual, but it really just goes to show you how spiritually hollow so many fundamentalist Christians really are. All this talk of humility is such a facade. Everything is still entirely about them. Their pain, not the pain they've inflicted. Their misery, their sorrow, their right to be absolved of all their wrongdoings just because they want to be, without having to face any consequences. Accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior, and all is forgiven. By all means, don't work on yourself at all. Don't even stop being a gigantic piece of shit to everyone. At any time, you can just apologize and say some Hail Marys, and you'll be saved again. It's the laziest and most self-centered version of spirituality imaginable.
You know, I'm just suffering. So I wonder how you deal with, if you sort of see yourself as and I understand it and appreciate it, a realization of the divine, that the holy divinity is within you, that you awoke in your mother's womb, that you're able to lucid dream, and if you're able to exist on different levels of reality, and all of us do in our dreams and certainly in hallucinogenic states, and maybe reality itself is a type of chemical construct. Certainly it's difficult to argue against it.
Who the hell ever found this guy charming? He just flips the motor mouth switch and spews a meaningless stream of consciousness. He manages to be slightly more coherent than Terry, who does exactly the same thing. But reality is a type of chemical construct? What does that mean? Chemistry exists, and we are made of molecules. Is it difficult to argue against the fact that we are made of molecules? Of course it is, since everyone knows that's true, so he's not saying anything. He's just fart sniffing and using up valuable oxygen.
How do you not fall into, well, what Terence wants is all that matters and become kind of hubristic?
Well, when you put your finger, if I take my finger and put it inside the Pacific Ocean, back to the idea of infinitesimal and our contribution, the entire ocean has to register that change of motion and pressure condition.
Uh-oh, Russell infected Terry with his inability to pronounce infinitesimal, but what's this? The entire ocean has to register the motion and pressure condition of Terry's finger? That definitely doesn't mean anything. I'm still waiting for him to ever explain what pressure condition means in the first place, but the idea that his finger is magically affecting water molecules thousands of miles away is idiotic, no matter how philosophical you want to get with it.
That's how necessary we are. None of us is superfluous, because in order for one thing to happen, every waveform in the universe must co-sign that thing's existence, because every waveform is going to be adjusted and have to change its pressure and motion conditions based on that movement and motion.
Let's add superfluous to the list of words Terry can't say. And sorry, co-sign its existence? I'm pretty sure he heard the words sine and cosine in the context of being trigonometric functions that can correspond to waveforms, had no idea what they are since he never even learned algebra, let alone trig, and thought that cosine means like to cosign a loan at a fucking bank. In fact, I'm positive that's exactly what happened. I don't even know how many videos I've done on this moron, and yet he still manages to astound me with his stupidity every time. And even better than Terry's word salad is Russell just sitting there with his shirt open, drinking his water, barely paying attention, and offering some half-assed facial expression every now and again, probably wondering how the fuck he got here.
Is still accomplishing balance in the universe. Now, if Russell chooses to be more balanced and...
Free speech is under attack, Jack, but Rumble refuses to take it lying down.
Russell cares so little about this clickbait video with random asshole Terry that he puts the mid-roll ad in the middle of a sentence, as if to limit Terry's free speech with his free speech bullshit. Russell, nobody is limiting your speech. You're just a piece of shit who violates basic community guidelines on YouTube, so you've been demonetized. Do you have any idea how extreme you have to be to get demonetized on YouTube? The real violation of free speech is Trump detaining and deporting people who publicly protest Israel's genocide. That's how free speech is under attack. Rumble is just a cesspool of charlatans who can't make money on legitimate platforms because they're lying or promoting hate speech literally all the time.
Free expression. Content from creators like Russell Brand. Yo, I'm that dude. Dr. Disrespect. Tim Cast. And the Mug Club with Crowder. It's more than a subscription. It's a stand for free speech.
It's a stand for free speech, or a showcase for literal Russian assets, and a buffet of hateful misogynistic turds like Steven Crowder, Charlie Kirk, Andrew Tate, you name it. It's the septic tank of the internet.
Like, I still smoke cigarettes. I know it's harmful for me, but I know not to do it all day long. I still take pot, like I sat up and smoked with Bill Maher. I rarely smoke in public with anybody, but, you know, if Bill offers me a joint, I have to take it, because that's a sign of great disrespect not to share a moment with somebody.
Yes, if anyone offers you a drug of any kind, you have to accept it under any circumstance, or you're disrespecting them.
Come on, smoke it. Man, I don't want to smoke. This is not an option. If you do not smoke this, we have a problem.
Good call, Terry, and getting high with Bill sure was a great idea, since it gave us gems like this.
And that's where Monosat came in, and they're just keeping the same.
Monsanto?
Monsanto.
Yes.
Monostat.
Because you're stoned now.
No, that's what
why.
it was. I'm thinking of a yeast infection.
If this is really Terry's drug policy, do you think that people have just been offering him potent hallucinogens every day for years, and that's what's gotten him into this mess? It's like that Jim Carrey movie Yes Man, but no Zoe and actually funny to watch.
So I just follow the natural way. I just follow what I know at the end of the day. My intentions are good. I have my lust. I love my lust. And I don't want to lose any of it because I've gone years fighting against my lust. And then I chose to realize I was just fighting against myself. But it's accepting, like Carl Jung said, accepting the dark side of us. That's when we become whole.
Yeah, this is all fine for normal people who aren't dangerous criminals. Someone who isn't a serial rapist or wife beater can use this kind of language to describe their lust or their anger. But when you assholes talk this way, you're just blatantly trying to excuse your violent and horrific crimes. We're not buying it.
You have to think, according to the scriptures, for 30 years, Jesus knew that he was the Son of God. For 30 years before anyone else was aware. He knew that. And do you think that he had walked on water for the first time at the Sea of Galilee? It was probably something he did when he was 12, 13 years old. There were so many races that he could have won that he chose to allow other people to win because he was a sure foot, but he knew that they needed to win them.
Yes, Teen Jesus could have been his school's star quarterback and also a 37-time Olympic gold medalist, but he chose not to do those things because other people who aren't gods needed to win those. Just like how Terry totally could win 18 Nobel Prizes because he's the most special boy alive and probably a god, but he won't do it because he doesn't feel like it right now. But the important thing is that he knows he's a god.
And guess what? Once he remembered his pre-human existence and the angels came and ministered to him, what angels do you think came and ministered to him? If not Gabriel, who had the assignment from 700 years before, said, I've done just as you've commanded. Not through hardship, not through, I've got to do this job, not through pain. It was he found joy in what he was doing. And that's what we do when you're serving the Creator, which is ourselves, and all things are the Creator. Everything is made in God's image.
If everything is made in God's image, then God doesn't have an image and doesn't mean anything. If God looks like us and also looks like a rock, then by the transitive property, we should look like rocks, and we don't. So that was stupid. Russell has been out to lunch for this entire monologue, totally dead-eyed while Terry pretends he's serving some creator instead of himself, but then acknowledges the truth of the matter by exclaiming that he is equivalent to his creator. It's totally vacuous and self-contradictory, but that's religion for you.
Because like if you look at chlorophyll, the blood of the plants, it has the same chemical organization that our hemoglobin has. The only difference is you have iron in ours as a base with the same carbon, the hydrogen, and nitrogen bonds. And in the chlorophyll, you just have magnesium in the same exact position.
Oh, goody, a science thing. No, Terry, chlorophyll is not the blood of plants. That would be sap, fluid containing water and nutrients that travels through the plant. Chlorophyll is the compound that initiates photosynthesis by absorbing light from the sun, causing excitation of an electron, which is then ejected and kicks off a series of light-dependent reactions in the membrane of the thylakoid within a chloroplast to generate ATP, which heads to the Calvin cycle. Whatever, you get it. Chlorophyll is not a fluid, but more importantly, Terry says chlorophyll is identical to hemoglobin. Well, no, it isn't. In fact, there isn't even just one form of chlorophyll. There are 6, A through F. Second, hemoglobin is a protein, so it's way, way, way bigger than chlorophyll. You can be charitable and assume he meant the heme portion of hemoglobin, although he has no idea what that means. Even that's not identical. Chlorophyll has an additional ring and a hydrocarbon chain. But yes, there is a lot of similarity, with the main difference being the identity of the central metal atom. So what, Terry? So the fuck what? Make it good.
With the same benefits. So you think that plants don't dream, don't love, don't hope, don't think, don't lust?
No, Terry, plants definitely objectively do not do any of those things. Plants are not sentient. You started by comparing two molecules, then you said they do the same thing and produce the same benefits, which they very obviously don't. Humans can't do photosynthesis, dumbass. Hemoglobin transports oxygen around our bloodstream. It's a completely different function from what chlorophyll does. But more importantly, because you identified two similar molecules, plants have dreams and want to bang each other? Is this like your bisexual carbon rant? Are you trying to tell us that you're a dendrophiliac? This is some serious perversion, Terry. Get help.
That's why I don't kill plants anymore. I don't give flowers to somebody because you're cutting off their genitals. The plant is finally falling in love, getting swole up, ready to mate, and we cut off its damn genitals and like, here, I love you.
Wow. Terry thinks that the stem of a plant is its genitals. Doesn't everybody learn this stuff in like elementary school? The reproductive organs are part of the flower itself, moron. The stamen contains the pollen and the pistil contains the ovary. And it's adorable that Terry is so concerned about harming a flower, which doesn't feel pain, while he's totally cool with beating the shit out of whatever woman he's giving the flowers to. Probably in an attempt to apologize for beating the shit out of her. What an asshole.
Just a quick break from our conversation with Terence too, to let you know we're leaving YouTube now. The rest of this conversation is major. We talk about Hollywood Insights, we talk about geometry. We have the gall to criticize Isaac Newton and make some good points about it, as a matter of fact. So click the link in the description. Join us on Rumble and Rumble Premium.
Sorry guys, I will not be joining you there. I don't need to listen to Terry tell stories about puffy parties to compare himself to one of the few people who's worse than him. I don't need to hear all the geometry bullshit I've already debunked numerous times. And I definitely don't need to hear either of you assholes pretend to understand anything Newton ever did, much less attempt to correct him on anything. Anyway, I do find it all a bit depressing. YouTube is already bad enough in terms of being a platform that is overflowing with disinformation and grifting frauds, but Rumble is just a whole other level. You kinda wanna just continue living your life pretending that it doesn't exist. That's my strategy for the time being, at least. I think that combing through a few hours of content over there might seriously challenge my will to continue existing on this planet. As bad as Terry is, Russell is worse, and he doesn't even break the top 10 pieces of shit on that platform. How did we get here? Where do we go? I don't know, but the least we can do is make fun of these jerks along the way. So that's it for the ultimate douche-off between Russell Brand and Terrence Howard. Who do you think won? Can there really be a winner in such a scenario? Probably not, but at least it's funny. Until next time.